You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take.
Plan. I'm the enemy. Because I like to think.
You can travel like a Bobby dog. You can hang out like a biker's mom. You fit in anywhere you go. And bring your own style just to steal the show. You shining so well with a flow in your step. Drink with a light, you drink and smoke on your bed. Loved by all yourself, you know. You're always involved, you're the star of the show.
Welcome, everyone, to another day here in Fulton Land. It's good to be back. Our co-host is not here today. Mr. Russ Leach had to attend to a family medical situation. To the best of my knowledge, all is well, and hopefully Russ will be rejoining us next week. And in addition to that, we've got a guest today. I want to get back into having guests on the show. Things got derailed there for a while with COVID and then some other family stuff that I've been taking care of for a while. Ongoing, but we're still able to do the show, which I'm happy to say. And so anyway, with all the stuff going on, I decided to reach out to somebody who many people in Comicsgate know and love. And we'll get to know better because he's got a project coming out pretty soon. And I brought him on the show to talk about it today, along with some X-Men the Animated Series stuff. With that, please welcome Mr. Pedro Caicedo to the show.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Good to see you. How you doing?
I have to say that your intro pumps me up because you get Edgar Friendly and Rocky, and then the song is amazing. So yeah, I'm pumped. Let's do this.
Yeah, well, that intro is put together by Russ. He's got, I guess, some kind of connection with the band BB Black Dog, and they're the ones that did the music. And so, yeah, glad you like it.
BB Black Dog. I'm making notes.
Yeah,
check them
BB
out.
Black Dog. So, I want to say hello to the people in the chat. Woodrow was first.
So
good to see you, man. Past Master Dan. Thanks for joining the show. Shadowhawk backs. Statistical Zero, good to see you, my friend. Dave Brink from Genuine Comics. Leg Kick 1, welcome to the show, sir. Amanda B, back in action. I'm not sure what that emoji is, but I kind of like it.
It looks like pizza perfume. What is it?
Is that perfume, Amanda?
Mm-hmm.
Are you rocking a new fragrance today?
Fragrance.
General Piggy, greetings. Eric Hupfuls. Master of the Horse. Yes, indeed. Here at Fulton Land, we have what we call a citizen kingdom, meaning that it's a land on the internet, a kingdom full of citizens who have, some of whom have titles, ranks, if you will, but we're all equal in value. So, you know, I'm the citizen king of Fulton Land, which means that, you know, I get out there and dig the moats along with everyone else and plow the fields along with the farmers. And then I get cleaned up and go inside the castle and say hello to Lady Fulton, and try and figure out how to keep the kingdom running.
It's what's called first among equals. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. More responsibility, but not any more value. Um, I thought I saw somebody. No, okay. Oh yeah, some person.
What's up?
Welcome to the show. Yeah, this is early morning. Yeah, exactly. I'm Pacific time, and most people are at work. This is actually the only time that Russ and I could both do the show, which is why we chose the time slot. And I suspected early on that it wasn't going to be very good in terms of like viewer numbers. But I thought, there could be a chance that this is a type of show that people could tune into while they're at work, and they may not chat a lot, but they might enjoy kind of a long form conversation type of show that they can listen to while they're doing their job, or if they work from home, while they're doing the housework or taking care of the kids or whatever. Maybe this is something that they could have playing in the background. So yeah, that's why we went with the time slot, and there you go.
Yeah, this is lunchtime for me, so this is perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're in Panama, and are you
sir.
in the Eastern time zone or Eastern +1?
Eastern time zone. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that makes it easy for you with kind of a lot of CG shows and people's schedules.
Yeah, and that I will be considered East Coast CG, maybe if that's a thing. So yeah.
Right on. Well, we've got some news not too long ago that the X-Men animated series, which many of us watched in the 90s, is getting relaunched, and it's going to be broadcast, if I'm not mistaken, on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to have you on the show today, primarily to talk about your upcoming project, Tropical Magicks, but there was a little bit of, I don't even know if it's really news, but I guess the fact that the show is being relaunched and airing on Disney Plus, it just came across my radar again a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that, you being an animator and having a lot of experience in that industry, as well as being a fan of animation, when you were growing up and then continuing on into your adult years, and being able to appreciate animated shows, both from the perspective of a viewer and as a professional who puts together animation for a living. I thought we could chat a little bit about the original show, why it made such a huge impact as it did, and then talk a little bit about this relaunch, and then chat about your upcoming project.
Awesome.
So when did you discover the original show?
Oh, the original show. The thing is, like, Panama doesn't have a lot of like production, so we import everything. So we got it in the 90s, like 92, 93. We started watching like the X-Men, and at that time, dude, it paralyzed everybody because we knew of the X-Men, but we didn't have access to the comic books. So you'll see like a launch box, maybe a T-shirt, maybe a poster, and maybe one guy with one X-Men, like 140 something, and you'll read it and you don't understand anything because you don't know what's behind and what's coming afterwards.
Yeah.
But everybody fell in love with the designs, and that was the thing about the X-Men. Like, there were so many, all the designs were like amazing, and kids just wanted that, So when we got the series, we got informed of the story, the history of the X-Men through the animated show, more so than the comic books. As people grew up and started like, okay, I'm going to start collecting comic books, because that's like, actually grown-ups down here collect comics. Kids don't get their hands on comics. And we started reading, like, wait, who's Bastion? What? I never saw that on the series. So it was like reinforming ourselves with the true source after watching the show. So it was very important down here.
Okay, cool. So it sounds, since the show broadcast in '92 here.
Yeah.
It sounds like you may have gotten it maybe later in the year, if not the start of the next year. And then, did you guys get all 5 seasons of the show?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we got the 5 seasons, and yeah, it was inconclusive. And the thing is, like, when they start buying, when they hit you with episode 1 again. Like you're watching, like this is not. There's no internet, so you can't really access to anything. You get what you get.
Right.
And you're watching, like, you're on episode like 40 something, and then like episode 1, like, mother. Yeah. They don't have the new episodes. So when they hit us with episode 1, we knew, like, oh, this is over. And it was supplanted, if I'm not mistaken, by a show called Mummies.
That sounds familiar. Yeah,
it's a show of like superhero mummies.
I vaguely remember the show. Yeah,
I remember. Like, and then we have like, okay, it's Mummies now. So
yeah, I know that. I mean, at the time, it seems like the 2 biggest cartoons among kids, and I guess you would say through young adults. Maybe it went further than that, but I don't know. I was in the late 80s and early 90s. I was a teenager. So, and I had been reading comics for many years, so I was perfect, kind of in the perfect demographic for X-Men the animated series, Batman the animated series.
Oh yeah.
Gargoyles was another one.
Gargoyles was a big one.
Eric Hupful says, X-Men the animated series is what got me into superhero comics. I was already a big comic reader, but it was sci-fi or adventure stuff like Transformers, G.I. Joe, or Star Trek. Yeah, I worked in a comic shop in the early 90s, and there was a definite impact that the show had in getting people to discover X-Men comics, and then more comics beyond that.
Yeah.
And I remember the Konami video game with the X-Men. It was X-Men fighting game. It had Dazzler in it, even though she wasn't in the show.
Yeah. Had, like,
and
Dazzler.
apparently, yeah,
it was Dazzler and Nightcrawler, Wolverine, and Cyclops and Storm. You can pick 5, I think. I remember that game.
Yeah, and apparently, in an early pitch, maybe even for the pilot episode, which aired quite a bit earlier than the series itself, Dazzler was supposed to be a cast member. And so the info that the video game studio got was off of, that early kind of pre-production information. And so that's why she was in there.
Yeah, that to me made no sense, because when I think I played the game before I saw the show, and I was like, where's Dazzler? I was like completely ignorant of everything. But yeah.
Eric Huffle says Dazzler was in the original X-Men pilot episode that was released as Pride of the X-Men.
Oh, stand corrected. Thank you, Eric.
Yeah. So I've got this art book here.
Oh, awesome.
Let's go full screen.
Yeah.
For the people watching on their phones. If I could find.
Yeah, the arcade game, Ollie.
Yeah, the arcade game we were talking about came out in the 90s. So this book came out in 2020, and
it's a fat book.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a big, heavy coffee table book. And so I was curious, you being an animator and someone who watched the entire series, I mean, it's pretty common knowledge among people who watch the series that season 5, the last one, was by far the lowest quality.
Yeah.
And we'll get there, but the first 4 episodes, I guess the first season rather, was pretty difficult in terms. Well, let's get that under control. Pretty difficult in terms of production. But then in season 2, things apparently went really well for the showrunners, and
Yeah.
everybody kind of got into sync. And
That's
so,
pretty common. That position, because when you have a new show, all the animators are just getting the Bibles, and they don't have the muscle memory to animate and keep on model. Like it will take them more time because they have to learn the models. Even though you have
Yeah.
like a perfect model sheet, as good as you could be as an animator, it will take some time. So always like you see and also model sheets evolve. Like if you see The Simpsons, for example, did you see the first season of The Simpsons?
yep.
It's Matt Groening drawing.
Yeah.
And as you see the seasons evolving, you see a more polished version of Homer, a more polished version of Bart. The same that happens on every show. But a show as complicated as the X-Men, it's even worse because you're getting this like super detailed, super informed, very distinct shapes and silhouettes of characters that people who know the X-Men are going to expect that. So that was a disadvantage and one of the charms of the show, that they had to stay true to the comic book designs, even though those designs were not made for animation. So at the first episodes are very wonky. Like I saw it later, it's like, oh, that was rough. But that's the thing. Like they're trying to translate comic books into animation. That's not very. I don't want to say it's not easy, because it's not a matter of easy or hard. It's just it takes more time.
It's a process
to do it properly.
Statistical Zero says, like Batman going from complicated to angular and simple. Yeah, I mean, you take a look at how detailed Batman was being drawn. I mean, even in the 70s, you can look at Neil Adams' Batman, or any of his contemporaries, Jim Aparo. I mean, you put that up against the Batman the Animated Series model sheet, and it's night and day. And it's, you can look at the animated series version, and it's like his torso is a big triangle, and then his head is basically a rectangle with two little triangles on top of the rectangle, and that sort of thing. So
the thing is, like you need to learn how to draw through the form. So the simpler the shape, it will allow you to animate better. And in animation, you want to capture movement. So a very detailed character might work against that. So that's why, like, people say, "Oh, it's simpler." No, it's actually harder to do it properly, because you have less lines to hide mistakes. You know what I mean? But yeah, like you have to keep your character. So what Bruce Timm and all those guys did with DC is what the X-Men should have done from the get-go. But they didn't. They said, like, hey, let's all go all guns blazing, and dude, I respect them for that.
Right.
I wouldn't. That wouldn't have been my choice.
Now, I want to actually, before I ask you the next question, Ollie from 656 says X-Men Evolution had a more consistent style and better for animation.
Yeah.
And Leg Kick 1 says Wolverine and Fantastic Four of the 90s animation got much better towards the end. Yeah, I agree. I think that the X-Men animated series, it was both like a proof of concept that you could have, kind of a high octane, both action adventure driven show, but then also very much story driven, character driven at the same time. And it could be a big hit, which it did turn out to be. I know the showrunners, Eric and Julia Lewald, were say in the book that they had never expected the show to go beyond one season. And so when it got renewed, then suddenly they found themselves not only having to figure out, okay, where to take the show from here, but apparently they also got a lot of studio support compared to when they were first approached to do season 1, because ratings had come in and advertisers were happy and wanted to advertise on the show, and so now the studio's ready to spend more money and all of that sort of stuff.
And the team is sharper, which is something that people never take into account, that animators are humans too. It's not a fax machine. And also, like, you have to understand, like, when this show came about, we are in the revolution of animation that ended in the early 2000s. Is coming from alongside X-Men. You have like the new adventure of Mighty Mouse, which was the first one that said like, okay, you don't need to make animation just to sell toys.
Yeah.
That was right by Ralph Bakshi. You have Rocko's Modern World. You have Johnny Bravo. Like all those animations, like X-Men came alongside with a completely different approach, because all these shows I'm talking about, they were designed and made directly for animation.
Yeah.
And you can see it in the design and how it was. I mean, I have to say it was better animated than the X-Men, but they didn't have the charm that the X-Men had at the time. And also what you said, like they were aiming to a young adult and teenager consumer base, which was not the target for animation at the time. Like everybody said animation, oh, kids, and just kids.
You know, you were talking about detail, and now when you talk about the demographic there,
the
problem with using this book is that
heavy
it blocks my monitor. I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, so I don't know if the camera's going to pick this up, but I noticed that in this cell, there's more detail in Wolverine's face than I would ever expect to see in a cartoon back in the day. And well, and certainly now with, you know, kind of the CalArt style taking over almost everything.
Oh, yeah.
But
the beam smile style.
You know, but this sort of detail in the face where, you know, you've got multiple facial muscles that are indicated, and you can get a really wide range of expressions out of your character.
Yeah. But what really is making me like cringe as in, well, that's a lot of work. The shadow work is that's assigned to somebody else, and that person has to have three-dimensionality on point.
Yeah,
and just the facets of the face as he moves, like how those shadows move. That's a nightmare. That's a nightmare right there.
We've got some questions coming in from the chat. Some person said, I asked this of all animators. Is it true all animators got a head injury at some point in their life?
Yes. I was playing Superman and fell on my forehead when I was 7. So I have to say yes.
And Don Chin says, hey, Joe, is that the book that Mark Lewis worked on? He was someone who worked on Parody Press's X-Force. Don, if I'm not mistaken, Mark Lewis, excuse me, did the book that came out before this one. The name escapes me at the moment, but it might be in here. I'll see if I can find it quickly. And I guess that previous book had a lot of minutia, in addition to, you know, this simply the production of the series. I'll take about, I'm not seeing the title, but if people are interested, they can just look online for X-Men the Animated Series book, and it should come up.
Dude, awesome series, and awesome time to be an animation fan.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the 80s. Well, I probably started watching cartoons in the late 70s, but I don't really remember them. But in the 80s, that's what I still have memories of. You know, shows that I watched, and there's a definite step up in animation quality from something like the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon.
Oh yeah,
or the Smurfs. You know, go into the next decade. You know, in the first part of the decade, and there's a big jump in quality.
Yeah, all those were licensed shows. And I mean by licensed shows is that there were licenses from toys. So you get like Visionaries, you get like Jason the and the Wheeled Warriors. You
Yep.
get there's one called the Phantom Zone. But the things like I saw that show in Spanish, so I might screw up the name. Inhumanoids also, like all those shows, like basically storyboards. Some animation was made in Canada, and
Yeah.
I think somebody in the chat said it. Like that. That's one of the big secrets of American animation.
Mm-hmm.
They do design and storyboards in America, but they animate in Korea. And
Yeah,
that's
this
a huge thing, man.
So in this book, one of the things they talk about is how, like you said, the design was done in LA. The voice talent was all in Canada. So, all the lines were recorded up there.
No kidding, eh?
And then the show was animated in Korea.
There you go.
And I guess
Now,
they had.
Indonesia has a lot of studios now.
Say that one more time.
Indonesia has a lot of studios now. But
Indonesia.
They pay those guys in chicken feathers. And I know for a fact I got contacted by somebody in the U.S. Like he wanted to pay me Indonesian rates, and I was like, oh, dude, no. I wish to buy like a full loaf of bread.
Yeah.
With what you're paying me now, it's not gonna work. So yeah, that's a big secret. Well, everybody knows this by now. But it was like there was no money in animation. If you're a grunt, well, just a life of slavery.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things that I wanted to mention with this show is, I think that by and large, one thing it did really well is the villains.
Oh yeah, look at
his
Sinestro,
characters.
dude.
I remember Mr. Sinister being
Sinister, yeah,
a particularly good villain on the show.
Yeah, and that cape is a nightmare to animate.
Going to what you were saying about the detail, I'm going to see if we can get this on camera. I don't know if it'll pick it up, but here where there's the drawings of Sinister, and there's two different options for a mouth.
Yep.
And in it, I know the camera won't pick up this detail. It's pretty faint. But so one of them has an arrow and an X through the teeth, and it says no. And it says, this is a retake if drawn like this. And it's the classic animator shortcut, just a bunch of triangles to show fangs, like every tooth is a fang. And then in the one that says yes, it says teeth recede into mouth. Teeth are not flat. Close-up of how teeth and mouth must be drawn.
Yep.
And
that's a Bible.
That sort of detail is throughout the first 4 seasons of the show.
That's why animators go bold.
Yeah.
Dude.
Okay, so Don said, if that is the book by Eric Lewald, Lewis is a credited contributor. Okay, cool.
Nice.
He said that looks a lot like Lewis's concept art. Statistical Zero says, I know a lot of Tim's DCU was Korean animated.
Yeah, it was common everywhere. Like it was too cost prohibitive to animate in the US, even in Canada. Like in Canada, Canada became a hub for a while, but then it got really expensive. And I remember when I was studying animation in 2001, we got brochures like, what do you think about India? I was like, what? Yeah, move to Bangalore. Like they have studios there, and some of my friends went to Bangalore, and now they're like, yeah.
Were they able to make a living
in Bangalore? They lived as Indians for a while, but then they came back to Canada, and now they're like art directors and whatever. So
okay,
basically they paid their dues over there.
They did it temporarily to get some work experience.
Yeah, and
now this is something we'll probably never see again.
Eat the curry. Oh, look at that.
Hand painted. 3-panel background cell.
Jesus. Yeah, that would be a 3-field pan. That's how it's called in animation. A field would be like a screen. So you get 3 fields. 12 fields.
Yeah, this is people who watch the series will remember this. A production cell, 3-panel painted background with Emperor Deken's Star Cruiser from the Phoenix Saga Part 4, The Fate of the Phoenix.
Oh, dude.
Drawn from the storyboard by Dan Wiesenmeyer. Yeah, they had some good storyboard artists.
Oh yeah,
working on that show. And then I'll just show one more. This is a master layout background production cell of Master Mold's underground construction layer where he plots to rebuild his body.
Look at that, dude.
I mean, the detail in here, let me try and get...
Yeah. The lighting is handled like perfectly there.
So with this rebooted show, Pedro, I'm guessing it's going to be all digitally done. I'm guessing it's going to be done as cheaply as possible.
Yeah, it's going to be Heartbreak. That's what's going to be.
And I don't, and because they're doing it as, you know, essentially a relaunch and a quote unquote continuation of the series, I have a feeling it's going to come off something like this is a shot from season 5.
Yeah.
Where, you know, the quality.
Look at the feet. Look at the feet, man.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's why I chose this.
Yeah. Oh,
the quality is awful. And the storytelling, visually awful.
I don't know, like if they take the things like this Avengers show, but was before the Disney purchase.
Yeah.
But if they go the way of Avengers Assemble, no, not Avengers Assemble, Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes.
Yeah.
That show, like they simplified the designs properly, and it was very, very well animated. Very, very well. And they handle the stories. If you haven't seen like Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes, like good, that's a good watch right there.
I did watch a couple episodes of it. And
maybe they take it that way, but I'm not sure because that's before Disney. Because at that time, like they did Hulk versus Wolverine, which is an amazing animated movie. Like they wanted to go against DC, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, just the DC animated movies are just you can't catch Bruce Timm, but it was good. And then they did Thor versus Thor, Hulk versus Thor. That was all right. I like Wolverine better. And from then they came like the Avengers Assemble. But I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna take it that way because then they did Avengers Assemble and it looked cheaper.
Yeah,
it's just was not the same thing.
Ollie's asking if they've shown any clips or screenshots from the new X-Men show. I haven't seen any.
No, I've only seen articles.
Okay, yeah. So, being that you come from an animation background, and when you decided to launch your own comic, was it for you kind of like a continuation of let me think how I want to say this. Was it was there ever any thought of you doing something drastically different from the type of drawing you had done as an animator, or was it always, this is what I like, this is what I'm comfortable with, and I want to do essentially an animated show in comic book form?
Yeah, okay. The thing is, like, my journey is a bit weird because when I studied animation way back when, all those years ago, I really wanted to go into feature films and whatever. It just didn't happen because I got married. I came back to Panama. Here in Panama, there's no industry, so I did commercials. I've done commercial work my whole life. Like soap boxes and diapers and tuna cans
Yeah.
and whatnot. And
As a
I don't know,
storyboard artist or an animator or both?
storyboard artist, animator, film director. I've done CGI. I've done classical. Like you have to do everything down here.
Okay.
And I might say like I have an illustrious career. It's not really like when I look back, I only see commercials of stuff that don't really mean anything to me.
So journeyman type work.
And I don't want to say like I got to start thinking about legacy because I don't see myself like that. I'm not that old, but
yeah,
I'm already reaching an age where people think I'm already too expensive for the market. So they're calling more kids, and then they offer like, oh, it's this. So basically, let's just say that advertising was not dying, but it's changing because TV's dead, and now everybody's doing like online stuff and TikTok and whatever. So it's a completely different field, and the money is not as good as it was before. And then that's when I put on the balance. Okay, why am I doing this? Why did I study animation?
Yeah,
not to do tuna cans. I mean, I want to draw. I want to do books. I want to do movies, whatever. And then I started an animation school to do that. That was in 2008. I started the animation school. And I've been working with the government a lot since then. And I saw not how hard, but okay, I sincerely hope Panamanian officials don't know English now. How corrupt it was. And
in a government?
Yeah, but dude, it was just it's monstrous, man. Just like overinflated budgets. People have gone to jail because of this. Like I was one of the proponents of the cinema law in Panama that got made in 2013. And okay, Panama's making movies, but right now it's just like a cluster. Like you really have to be in their in crowd. I'm not interested in that. So why did I choose comics? Because that's something I can do on my own or with a very limited group of people. And when I saw CG, I said like, okay, this is my way in to avoid all that white noise.
Yeah.
As the vendor comes around.
Well, I can, but that's all right.
Yeah,
if you want, go ahead and bring up what you wanted to share, and I'll tell the fine people in the audience. I want to give a little bit of disclosure here for the sake of full transparency.
Let's do it.
Pedro and I have been working together a little bit, and he's been doing some animation work for me, and I did some editorial consulting for this project.
Yep. And
so, I brought him on the show for the reasons I stated earlier, but I just wanted to make it clear that, I do have a personal interest in this, but I wouldn't have gotten involved if I didn't really like the project.
Oh, thank you.
So tell us about, in a few minutes, tell us what Tropical Magicks is about, and then, kind of what you're hoping to do as far as the campaign.
Okay, so Tropical Magicks is inspired by The Hidden Fortress by Akira Kurosawa. And in that same vein, it's like the two weakest or most unaware characters get presented with this adventure. And they see basically the world unfold around themselves, but their interest is they're very mundane. They're thinking about getting paid, what's their next meal. And even though they're powerful magic users, and that would be like there's a prologue that's going to explain who they are, where they come from, and why they are where they at. They're still they want the simple life. Like for example, the guy you see here, with the purple eyes, he suffers from extreme PTSD. He has like nightmares and whatnot, but he has a heart of gold. And this guy here, the guy in the red armor, is his best friend. But he's his best friend, but he's kind of a swindler. So they have a business together, and he basically is the guy who is in charge of the money. But I mean, even though it seems like he's taking advantage of his friend, he's really not. He's just a guy who likes money. So it's that dynamic they have of like journeymen going from town to town, doing simple jobs with the power to basically crush the universe. They just don't want to use it that way. And as the adventure develops, they get hired by this lady that makes them go on a mission. That it's a mission that is very important. They're playing with the fate of the world, but they're oblivious. Like they start basically discovering what's happening as the book evolves. So with the reader, it's going to be taken on the journey through their eyes. So that's the first book of Tropical Magicks. So it's 72 pages. The 72 pages are done already. I got some edits from Mr. Thunderbuns over here, and I got another editor when Joe like told me he's too busy, and I understand how busy he is. But yeah, like the art is done already. Going through the edits, we're in the process of lettering now.
Nice.
And these are the pages that I've shown already, so I'm not really spoiling anything here. These are the bad guys, the Children of Chaos, and in the spirit of clarity, I've made an 8-page prologue, which makes the story 72 pages, which tell like the state of where the world is, how magic came about into the world, and what happened to magic users and whatnot. It's all going to be explained even before you start reading the story.
I like if you go back one page.
Oh, sure. Let's go.
There is panel 2 that really shows that you've got experience with animation. I mean, that's you take the concepts of stretch and squash and you just blow that out, and it really helps sell in this panel the illusion of motion through the still image
and terror, because it's just like this guy is running out of control, so you exaggerate the pose that way. So I don't know, like my criteria for drawing is different from a regular comic book artist, and I'm very aware. Like I stand in awe watching like all the legends that get mentioned during different CG shows, like Bernie Wrightson and Michael Golden, all those guys, and I really admire them. But my school's different, and I don't know. Like I'm trying to find because you asked me like if I say like I'm comfortable with how I draw, I'm not. Because what I want to do is find a hybrid that will bridge what these amazing comic book artists have done and what I've learned from animation, and come like in a common ground. And I don't feel I'm there yet. I just got to keep on drawing.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, if you're going to develop a new style, then there's no shortcut through time.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing, and I'm already working on other books, and I can see the evolution of the style as I'm like I can see little things like, oh, I like this. I'm gonna put a pin on that,
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. So this is how like the governments weaponize the magic users. So and these are like you see it's pixelated because these are the previews just to save RAM on my computer, but yeah,
so what is it that in story wise, what is it that gets these blue collar magic users out of their daily routine and into this crazy story?
Okay, so basically the magic awakened, but it was random. It could grab anyone.
Okay.
At any point, so you see there's like a guy in an office. This is a girl jogging. This is a guy driving his car. Like the guy jogging, like he awakened his gravity powers and he destroyed a park. I put a little hot dog cart in there just for. And there's like a priest in church awakened his water powers and killed everybody in the church. And this guy like burned down a mall, and like the world entered in crisis, and that's the solution was to round them up. So they round them up and they put them in cryostasis. And for the public, that was the solution. Like, okay, the magic users are gone. But in secret, every government started making an institute. And within these institutes, they started understanding the powers, harnessing them, and channeling them. And they invent this technology to channel the magic users and turn them into weapons.
Okay.
And that's the beginning of the problems. So I think I jumped in. These pages are going to be in the art book. These are not part of the prologue, but this basically explains what happens. Like as they use their powers more and more, they start going crazy. Like the magic users, because one thing is being like, okay, I'm the government. You are a representative of power. But when you're your power itself, you get power drunk. And I was like, dude, you're telling me what to do, but what are you? You're a gnat. So the magic users start like they turn against their governments and they start killing everybody like randomly. And that's like the end of the spell war. Like there's a huge clash. Like they come up with two factions called the Golden Mean and the Southern Cross. And they fight in Chetumal, Mexico. And basically something happens there. Nobody knows exactly what happened, but there was this huge explosion that killed like 80% of the magic users, and all technology was knocked out around the world. So with the government's gone, the UN came up with an algorithm like to rebuild, but that algorithm became a tyrant and she called herself Lore, and now everybody's under Lore's dictatorship.
So she's basically an artificial intelligence that's put the human race into slavery.
Yes. And that's where the story starts. These two guys are veterans of the spell war. They survived the Battle of Chetumal, but they don't want to know anything about power because they know what it did to them. So now they want to live a simple life. And that's where the story starts.
Cool.
And yeah, also I have like trading cards ready for the backers. That's something like I'm in the process of just like doing the campaign page, so I'm very excited about that, even though I'm trembling in my loins.
And when are you thinking of launching the campaign?
March the 1st.
Okay. Cool.
So this is the trading card you'll get if you sign up. This is not going to be offered in the campaign, but if you sign up to the mailing list and back, you'll get this exclusive trading card, which is like the team card. I mean, if you back it without without signing up and we reach the stretch goals, you'll get the set of 4 cards with stats of all the characters. But this it's only with the mailing list.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And,
I know there were a couple of people posting the link in the chat earlier, and Eric Hupfels just posted it again. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Eric. So yeah, guys, Tropical Magicks. I've gave it my all on this project. I'm in the middle of Panama. Like I've never thought I would be like trying to go indie like comic book industry and watching like, the Marvel DC thing. To me, that was alien. And basically, I don't want to say kid stuff, but it's just like it looked very far, and it's something that I'm not doing, you know. And now I feel like I'm in the middle of this stuff, so I'm forever grateful for you guys, because not only I've done this project, I've helped so many people with their projects or doing their trailers and help them with animation. That dude, I will be forever grateful to this community.
Oh well, we're grateful that you're part of it, man. It's been a pleasure working with you behind the scenes. Really looking forward to people seeing the animation that you've worked on for the Outliers. And before too long, I'll be able to show that, and we got some other stuff planned.
Yeah, we're ironing some details there, but yeah.
So as far as Tropical Magicks is concerned, are you are you hoping that this will be a franchise? Are you hoping to do like this and then do something different and go back and forth, or what are you thinking?
Okay, so basically, I want to take it's a hybrid between Studio Ghibli and what would be like a current run of a comic book.
Mhm.
So Tropical Magicks, I'm picturing this as a trilogy. It's finite, and
Yeah.
I'm planning on doing 3 books on
Okay.
Tropical Magicks. But I mean, I'm doing already another book called Sons of Athair, which is, I mean, Peter Dinklage is gonna hate me, but it's about dwarves.
Uh-huh.
But dude, it's dwarves in the 18th century. So if you grab like the evolution of a civilization, how would a dwarven culture would look in the 18th century? Let's just say Napoleonic era warfare,
Yeah.
but with a dwarven sensitivity. And dude, I'm having a lot of fun with that. And yeah, I'm doing that. I'm doing another project called Hoodbots. I mean, I'm busy. I'm busy, and that's really I'm very happy. A happy camper.
That's great, man.
Yeah.
So as far as animation is concerned, I want to ask you 2 questions.
Sure.
Have you answer the first one, and then I'll ask the second.
Mhm.
So the first one is, where do you see animation going in the next several years, based on where it's been in the past? You know, we were talking earlier about like 80s, 90s animation.
Yeah.
It seems like in the 2000s there was this transition into this CalArts style of, you know, extremely simplified characters. I won't even get into the writing, which I think is in many cases horrible, but you know, so anyway, it was a trend that we all saw. In the 2020s, where do you think it's going?
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, I sincerely believe things are cyclical, and I mean, there are things that are bringing me hope. No, they won't be fighting a giant lion, Eric.
I can say that long before Dwarves versus Lion was ever announced publicly, I saw some of the images from Pedro's Dwarven comic, and it does look very cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, but what I mean to say is that I've keeping my ear to the ground. Like, even though I'm here in Panama, like, I have a lot of people who work in the industry.
Yeah.
And my friends are fed up with, because I mean, what's happening in comics, it's happening tenfold in animation.
Oh yeah, it's real bad in animation.
It's bad.
Yeah, I've talked with Jose Garcia about that, and some of the stories that he told were stunning.
And what's bringing me hope, and also we'll need to wait a bit, because getting a budget to do a comic book, it's not getting a budget to do an animation.
Yeah.
So in comic books, and that's one of the reasons I'm here too, we're blazing the trail. Like, showing people, like, dude, it can be done. You don't need like this production by committee. You don't need like an HR department that says, like, okay, how many black people you have on the team, how many women. Like, nobody cares about that, because when I animate, I don't only paint in black. You know, it's ridiculous to think like that. And like High Garden Spice, like, dude, the trailer for that animation was the team saying how diverse they were. You never saw anything of the show, and when you get to see the show, it was manure. And the thing is, like, and then people are like, the guys are making excuses, like, yeah, like, this is a non-union show, and you don't know the budget we managed. Like, dude, nobody cares about your troubles. Is the product good or not?
Right.
Put up or shut up. You know, it's just people are coddled, man. And the thing is, like, if we get to find a way to do crowd-funded animation, I think we'll get to a healthy place. But we're not ready. We're not there yet.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That actually leads right into my second question, which was, as far as independent animation goes, I know it exists, but I also know that it's extremely small in scope compared to, you know, the mainstream animation industry. So I know I've had dreams about trying to do with animation what we've been doing with comics in the independent scene. You know, Comicsgate, people, regardless of what they think about Comicsgate as a social movement, professional movement, whatever their views are on it. I mean, it's once you look at the facts of what's happened over the last several years, the impact is undeniable. Now, whether you want to compare that to, you know, Marvel's yearly
Yield
sales
or
totals or whatever, I mean, yeah, if you want to, go ahead, knock yourself out. But my point is that we basically created something out of nothing, and each year it has been growing. And so when I apply that same idea to animation, it seems to me, and this is where I wanted to get your opinions as a professional and somebody who's been in Comicsgate for a while, and you know, someone who is seeing what's going on in the broader culture. It seems to me like a similar thing could be done with animation. You'd be using different tools, but I think it seems to me like a lot of the same networking principles, a lot of the same customer outreach principles would effectively be the same.
Yeah, the thing is like, okay, I've been trying to make animation in Latin America for a while, and that's something you guys don't have over there. Like down here, we have film laws, and the animation niche. It's always declared like, okay, nobody wants to do it because of all the corruption and the backdealing and whatnot. But Europe has Spain basically has this project called Ibermedia. And Ibermedia channels money from all the European Union. They have like 3 billion euros to produce. And in animation, like the teams down here, like maybe you have a lot of animators in Brazil, maybe some animators in Argentina. Colombia is starting, but it's like there's nobody to really teach the craft as it is, because it's always a guy that knows like, oh, I know how to animate with bones and whatnot. But the real craft, the real American craft, and that's another thing that you guys should be really proud. Animation is a total American art form. It was made in America. Like Europe copied what you guys were doing. Like if Winsor McKay, the Fleischer brothers, Walt Disney, it all happened in America.
Much like comics. I mean, there's some arguments about whether, usually between French and Americans, about who actually invented the comic book. But I mean, the birth of the comic book industry happened in America, became popularized in America, and then spread out from there. So so what you were saying about animation, do you think that there's still enough? Do you think there's still enough really good animation in the public consciousness that animators in other countries like Panama are still being inspired by it? Are there still people wanting to become animators?
Right now, people get inspired by old stuff, which is very, very, very sad. I mean, what's coming out right now? You see a Pixar movie, and now all the Pixar movies look the same to me.
Yeah,
they're all the same, and it's just like this sameness of guys who learn like, okay, I know how to animate. Maybe it's the teachers, I don't know, but there's the passion. It's gone. You don't have like a UPA studios that like trying new techniques and saying like, hey, let's make animation more graphic. Let's celebrate that they're drawings. Like you don't see that anymore. And that's the problem. Like you see guys like, I'm an animator, and I say like, you designed Buzz Lightyear. Can I see your own design? And when I see his design, like, oh, you did Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. It's something needs to happen. And the thing with animation is that even though we have to go back to the 80s. So I'm really excited to see how Ethan does with his toys.
Yeah.
Because if he gets the toys going, you can get enough momentum to raise a budget to do a Cyberfrog animated show riding on the sales of the toys.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, you'll need, like, for example, to do a Simpsons season, it's like $1.8 million
Mm.
to get the team, like, everybody paid properly and people can buy like bologna and bread.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, like, make quality animation, because I wouldn't do it like, okay, let's do like 5-minute shorts. Like, yeah, that's fine and good, but that's not sustainable.
Right.
That would be nice to do it once, and then everybody's like, hey, look at what he did. But to make something that's like sustainable, there's several things that needs to happen. And I think our vehicle is merchandising. Get the IPs, the comic books, start like toys, plushes, whatever.
Right.
Get enough thing, and then we can think about animation.
What are your thoughts about us doing, like, let's say, consistent releases of animated shorts to try to draw attention and then be able to gradually, because what I dream of is being able to do a series of animated shorts that not just for my own benefit, but this is like trying to get something going, right?
I get you.
Like Comicsgate style. If there were, let's say a few people who were able to produce a series of animated shorts, got it out there, it drew attention to the books, people buy the books, which brings in more money to fund more animation. You see where this is going. Like you said, merchandise fueling animation.
Yeah.
Do you think that or I guess I should say, how realistic do you think it might be that over the course of time, with dedicated effort, there could be eventually a pathway into producing an animated series for a Cyberfrog or for a Graveyard Shift or something like that?
Yeah, for example, like Ethan doesn't need that, because I mean, his brand is already like set.
Yeah.
But a first step would be like maybe offer an animated short on a campaign behind a wall. It's not a paywall, like it would be like a patron, but maybe like backers would get a key so they can access like the animated short, and then every campaign would be adding more shorts, and then you can compile all that into one like DVD. Like that's a way. There's several paths that can be taken, because you if you think, okay, I want to make like a 26 episode season right away, it's very prohibitive. Like, you have to pay voice actors, you have to pay animators, designers, storyboards. I mean, it's just a truckload of money. We have the talent in CG, dude. We have Fresher Luke, amazing animator and storyboard artist. Matt Barr, amazing storyboard artist. Well, I know a thing or two. There's people who can.
Jose Garcia.
Like, there's people that, dude, have a lot to offer, but we need to find a vehicle to make it viable.
Yeah. That's the thing, is we're in the Wild West for indie comics and anything else related to it. Independent toy production. Ethan, Patrick Thomas Parnell.
Yeah.
Several CGers doing Keshi toys. Eric Hutfels is your man to talk to about that. I want to end the show on a couple of comments and questions from Statistical Zero. He says, but at what audience? You already have the adults that will pay $25 per book. So at kids, you would have to have a book that would work with that.
Oh, that's the thing of the stigma animation has in America. Animation doesn't need to be for kids. I mean, if you want to do it for kids, be my guest. But
I'll say The Outliers is an all ages property. It's written for adults, but it's safe for kids. It's not going to give them nightmares. It's not going to rob their innocence. So it can be enjoyed at multiple levels, various ages. I mean, my dream for it is that at some point there will be kids, parents, and grandparents all reading it and enjoying it and talking about it and geeking out over it. But yeah, like you said, it wouldn't have to necessarily be that. It could be something geared towards an older audience. And then he says, then at what point would the books take a background as animation becomes a priority? Well, to me, that's all about the priority of the creator.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, it's always the books first and foremost, but I also always have been cognizant of the ability, and sometimes, depending on circumstances, the necessity to have ancillary products that support the main product.
Mhm.
So for me, if I could only ever do one thing, it would be comics, right? If I can do more than that, that boosts the visibility and the revenues of the books, then I'm interested in looking at those possibilities. Animation, I thought, could be one of those things, but it's all very theoretical
Yeah.
at this point.
I mean, the way I see it, and the position I am, I mean, animation is my first love, but
Mhm.
right now I'm focusing on the story and the stories in the book. So
Yeah.
that's my priority right now. And I'm not saying in the future, like I'm gonna drop the books to do full animation. No, I'm
Right.
having a lot of fun telling stories. So maybe my second career will be comic books.
Mhm.
Like I really don't juxtapose one on the other.
Yeah.
Because if I get the budget to do the animation the way I want it, I might not be directing it.
Mhm.
I might be like in a consultant position, and going like, okay, maybe I'll help with the character design because that's
Yeah.
something I can do. But being there and then like I'm doing the book and I go animate, like, I'll die. I'm already
Right.
48. I don't think my heart can handle that. So yeah, man.
Eric Hutful says Camel Moon went the other direction. He started with the Hail Salad animation, then
Yeah.
made a comic.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I do like about the independent scene, whether books or animation, is that in a way, it's the future's wide open. I mean, it's easy to look at the downfall
Mhm.
of classic characters and stories in different mediums, comics, TV, film, you name it,
Mhm.
video
Yeah.
games, and just get discouraged and think that it's all just going to be trash from here on out. But I
Yeah.
agree with you that things that happen in culture happen in cycles.
Mhm.
uh, Sometimes when you're in the middle of it, it's really hard to see that because it seems
Yeah.
like the only thing that's happening is right
Yeah,
in
man.
front of us,
No hope. Yeah.
especially the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are signs of things getting better.
Mhm.
And I think as long as there are people like us here in the chat, you and I, who are dedicated to trying to improve what we can improve with whatever influence we have, whatever resources we have. If
Yeah.
there's enough people doing that, that's how it goes back the other way.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's almost like if the hurricane of wokeness destroyed our house, the only way to rebuild a house is one brick at a time or one
Yeah.
board at a time,
Exactly.
and the more people that help out to do that, the faster the house gets built.
Hmm. I mean, as I said, like I get my animation fix doing trailers.
Mhm.
So personally, I'm a happy camper right now. But if we go beyond this, then yeah, I have trained people. Like I can have like an animation unit.
Mhm.
The guys that can do it properly, like 16 people,
Yeah.
but they need to be paid. So that's the only thing that I'm like, oh, like I'm not that. I wouldn't be that keen on compromising like animation services right now. I don't have a proper budget to say like, hey, we can make a 7 minute short. Okay, it's this much money. Like
Yeah.
you can really go like skip that, But if
Right.
it's just me drawing, like, dude, I you know how it works, Joe. Like,
Yep.
we let's make this work.
Yeah.
But if it's a team, like, yeah, it's a little bit more of a compromise. But yeah, dude, like I'm very excited to see what's gonna happen in the next couple of years. Because as I said, like I heard rumors, animators my age and younger are fed up with this basically tyranny of fear.
Yeah.
What can I say and cannot say?
Yep.
But they don't have the liberty a Shane Davis or a Dan Fraga has. Like, okay, I'm gonna do my own shit. Go fuck yourself. Sorry,
Right.
can you curse? In Fulton Land?
What's that?
Can you curse in Fulton Land?
Oh, we try to keep it PG-13.
Oh, okay.
So if you can
Sorry,
make
kids.
it PG-13 cussing.
Yeah. Okay. flip it, flop it. I don't know. And like I don't know. Like they can't just like throw things away right away because they work in big units. you
Yeah.
know? And
Right.
that liberty for animators is going to come later. But I think a train is coming.
Yeah.
We got the butts.
I certainly hope so. I think you're right, and I certainly hope it arrives sooner than later. The more of us that are making it happen, the faster it's going to arrive.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we went a little bit over. I'm
we
going to have
did.
to end it here. Really appreciate you joining me, Pedro.
Thank you, Joe.
I'm
It was a
looking
pleasure.
forward to your project. Really appreciate everybody in the chat who showed up and took this conversation and made it a show. I hope that you guys all, whatever you have going on today, hope you make it a great day. And we'll see you next week.
Right.
Bye.
Take care.
Don't let authority stop you from doing what you love. You